So for those who I haven't the chance to meet yet, I'm Daisy. I'm the current talent acquisition director responsible for Latin and Europe regions. Fun enough, like this is the second time that I'm working with Avido Code. So my first time was for 4 years, and now I have like about 8 months since I rejoined. Yeah, and so I hope like this can be a very great moment where I can share more about my experience and also learn from you guys. So hope everyone enjoy it.
Thank you, Daisy. But Daisy, let's start. How can individuals effectively assess their skills, interests, and goals when they are mapping out their career growth path?
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty long, right? But let's start from the beginning. So I guess one thing that is very important, I think it's for us to understand what is growth path is. So growth and path are two words very popular on companies, courses, TED Talks, LinkedIn, etc. And because of it, I think it's easy for us to assume that it's obvious, and maybe it is obvious for everyone here, but I want to just make sure that everyone is on the same page. So growth path in Portuguese, caminho do crescimento. In English, growth path. But what I mean is growth path is not about getting there. It's not about being successful or not being like unsuccessful. It's not about the achievements itself, but it's about the process. It's about the vision. It's about the journey. And I was so happy when I decided to talk about it, because journey is one of my favorite words. And so I just want to make sure that we understanding that where we're going to talk today, it's about this journey, how we can map this journey of a growth path, taking consideration, of course, like the individual, like the career, their goals, etc. But okay, let's try to answer Hannah's question. I think, Hannah, the three topics that you mentioned, like skill, yeah, interest, and goals, they made like a perfect pyramid to take into consideration when you're doing your mapping. And I think like it's very important for us to make sure that we identify each of those topics when you're mapping that. So identify your skills. I think it's the very first step. Who you are, you know, this is about your journey. This is very individual. It needs to match with you. So my first advice is like making sure that you talk with people, ask for feedback. And I don't mean just colleagues, like just like in a work environment space, but talk with your partner, talk with your family. Pay attention to the details that you can identify how people are seeing you, and take in consideration what you've studied for, what the kind of experience you are like you brought from the past companies, from the past places that you haven't been. I think like by identifying yourself, you can potentially reduce how many steps you need to take when you're mapping your career growth. So making sure that you know who you are, and I know this sounds like very psychology, but I'm a psychologist, so I have to say that this is important. Try to identify your personality or skills. And assuming that you have this answer and like, you have identified that, I think a second step that I always try to do, it's identify my interests and my purpose. And this might be challenge, to be very honest, because, we have like a lot of things that are happening all the time that sometimes it's even difficult for us to say, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I like, and this is what I don't like. And what I mean is we all do things that we don't like on a daily basis, right? And that's totally fine. But we do it because it's either a small percentage of our day, or at least it's something temporary. There's one case from Mila Monteiro. I know she's not very famous, but she's a yog, and I'm a yog as well, and she's one of my biggest reference. So everyone who actually do yoga probably heard about her. She did a TED Talk once, and she was talking about like once, like she was doing the Everest Mount, and at some stage, like she realized that the bag that she was carrying was too big for her size, and she didn't pay anyone to help her to grow this, to go like on her journey. So she was like doing like everything by herself. And she realized that like about like the middle of her journey, it was like 3 days after. And I haven't done like this, but I imagine this put her like in a very challenging position, because if the bag is not like on the right size, and if it was too heavy, it puts her like into the back. And she was making like the something that is already like very challenged, like she was like in minus 30 degrees, makes like the things like very difficult for her. So I make sure that I share that after, guys, so you can actually watch the entire thing. But this part make like a real impact when I listen to her. And Bakes, she was explaining that at some point, like she was in the middle, and she said, "Okay, these bags you have. So what I can do now? Can I just give up and come back? Should I continue?" And she said, "Okay, as much as it's really hurt me and it's really hard for me, it's just more 3 days." She was already past like the half. So she decided to continue. And what she was explaining is that she just was able to continue that, even though she was very hurt. Like she said, like she was, like in the blood, like she was very, very hard for her. She just was able to do that because she knows it was for a short time. And what I mean by adding this example here is that you need to make sure that you're carrying your bag with things that you like. Your goals needs to match with things that interest you, that spark your eyes, because she wouldn't be able to keep joining this journey if it was like for 1 month, if it was like for years. That was not possible. So making sure that you identify your interests and you pull your bag, like let's like in a figurative way, your bag with things that you like, that things that is matching with your interests, it's something that is definitely going to help you. So that's my second advice, and something that I always try to do. And I like the word identify, so I'm going to say identify again. Identify your goals. I think there is no way for you to identify your goals if you don't ask yourself why. So why these skills? Why this mapping? Why this interest? Why this goal? Because by you understanding the why behind it and what it's making sense for yourself, it's going to, helping you to identify and making sure that these goals that you're defining to your career, it's actually matching with the rest of the things that I just mentioned. Another thing that I always try to do is making my goals smart, and that's what I did. And what I mean by smart is specific, measurable, achievable. Okay, the achievable one is very important because let's say you can have a goal of being the president of the United States of America if you're not even like American citizen, right? So it needs to be achievable. You can't like set up goals that is like just impossible for you to match, that you don't have any kind of interest, you don't have any kind of skills to actually do that. Also making sure that your goals are relevant, because they need to be relevant for you, and they need to be time bound. And time bound is because you need to make sure what is the expectation in terms of time to achieve this goal, and to making sure that this is going to match it, either like what you expecting, because sometimes you can define a goal that is like for life, and maybe like you expect like to get some results before. So trying to make sure that you have the right balance regarding time is going to help as well. And I'm pretty sure if we have like um these smart goals, it's going to help you to clarify and track better like your progress as well. I think something very important as well, Hannah, and for everyone here, it's like I know it's kind of obvious, but it's very important, like breaking down your larger goals into smaller and manageable steps that will make them more achievable, because when you have like a goal that is like way, way, way far from you, it's much more difficult for you to track the progress. So breaking this big goal into smaller goals, so you can going to see the results, and it's going to motivate you to keeping your tracking into your growth mapping.
Yeah. The why that you mentioned is really important. Many people come to a career advisor and ask, "Oh my God, I don't have a purpose on my career. I don't have a purpose." Sometimes I don't believe in a big purpose, but I believe in why we do stuff. So why
Yeah,
I'm connecting this? Why this is important to me? What kind of things this action is going to bring? How this is going to ignite my bones?
yeah,
So I think this is the purpose of career that people are looking for. And
yeah,
this purpose is also going to help us when you have to do something that for some people is easy, but for some people is not. Continuous learning and skill development.
yeah.
So Daisy, in what ways can continuous learning and skill development be integrated into a personalized career growth?
Okay, okay. Being very honest, like I think it's very hard to see growth um, if you don't have continuous learning. If skill development is not involved with. I think it's a key point for you to not just accelerate your process, but actually having success into your process. But one thing, Hannah, that maybe it took me some time to understand, and I faced like some problems because I was always thinking continuous learning as just about doing courses, like having certifications or reading new books, etc. You can put yourself like in a very difficult situation because you want to, read like thousand of like books, you want to do like thousand of course, and that's not something that we are manageable to do like on daily basis. So one thing that I learned it doing my path as well was that continuous learning, it's mainly about exposing yourself into new situations, new places, new courses as well, new readings, of course, new people. So, just as an example, this that I'm doing here today, it's a continuous learning for me because I know I'm developing a skill that is related to a goal that I have on my growth path. So it's a secret, but one of my goals is actually to speak at a TED Talk at some point about something related to my professional area. And when I map it that, it's right now. I write now it. I know, of course, that to be there, I have to speak like a thousand and thousand of times before, to people that I haven't met that will judge me because I know, guys, you judge me because you're investing time on listening to me right now. And of course, I'm not speaking like in my native language, so it's a plus challenge as well. So that's continuous learning, I'm developing a skill for something that I mapped. And don't get me wrong, Hannah, I love like the invitation. And of course, I also doing that because I want to contribute it with Avenue Code. But what I mean is that this is also something that is, turning back to me because this is something that I map it, that I need to do. And even like I write down like how many would be the ideal. Speaks that I do, so I can be more prepared to someday. I don't know when this is going to happen. It's a long, long, long term goal. I'll be prepared to do that. So I think like continuous learning has a lot of this about exposing, about putting yourself in front of new situations and uncomfortable situations as well. That is going to help us to achieve on the big goals. And also, when I talk about continuous learning and development, like in general, I think it's very important for us to prioritize. I remember like in 2021, I was actually at Avenue Code. And I don't know if someone here already felt that, but I was feeling that I was getting dumped out. That was exactly my feeling. And I was saying, okay, I need to remapping the things because I was feeling that I was I was not learning like about new things. I was talking with people, and I said, I'm always saying the same thing. I don't have anything new to share with people about my job, about my knowledge, about recruitment word, etc. So I start to do like I did inscriptions like in thousand of course. I did like an MBA and everything. I said that I want to read like thousand and thousand of books. And at the end, like I wasn't able to achieve enough of those. So I lost a lot of money because I wasn't able to, do the all courses that I did my inscription. So it was very bad for me as well, and also I have to deal with the feeling that I didn't do, like I failed. So that was the feeling. So I always think about it as well, prioritizing according to your goals. If you identify the gaps and the things that you need to continuous learning and development, like in terms of the skills. So you're not going to do everything at once. You're not going to do everything like in 1 month and 1 year. It's like break into small steps. I think that's a key point.
Daisy, I'm laughing because I think everyone that comes to with this mindset, I'm going to improve my career, I'm going to improve myself. It's very common that everyone wants to do everything at the same
Yeah.
time. I want to solve every kind of weaknesses that I mapped. I want to improve all my strengths. And
Mhm.
then if you don't prioritize, I think you're going to face the feeling of failure for a long time, because you didn't fail on what you did. You failed on planning, you
Yeah,
failed on mapping the
exactly.
scenario, on mapping the correct opportunities, and mapping the correct challenges.
Yeah,
And
that's
challenges,
important too.
yes, are the things that many people like want to know about. So how can individuals navigate challenges such as career transitions or changes in industrial trends when they are mapping their career growth?
Yeah, no, this is always going to happen. Of course, there's always something that is suddenly going to happen. So, but I think the key point, at least like I try to do, especially like when I start to work like in the technology market, it's try to anticipate as many as possible, as you mentioned, like mapping those possibilities as well, like the challenge, the change that can happen. So one question, for example, that I always ask myself about my career is what, at least like from what I see, I know it's limit, but at least like I always ask myself like what what from my work that I currently do that cannot be replaced with technology. And what I mean is like I know things change, especially like in technology market, but if I try to anticipate those kind of things, I can, for example, try to invest more and more in terms of development on those skills that are very hard for technology to be able, for example, to replace. So this is just like an example. Another point very important, it's like trying to keep reading about the industries that we are involved with. Example, when I joined Avenue Code, like in 2018, I didn't have any experience with technology. And I remember like my first 3 months was basically like studying a lot about the technology, the industry. Like I said, I need to understand more. I need to understand what is the impact. So I was like putting myself into these new industry trends. In 2022, I was working with crypto, like Web3 technology, like market that is very different, like gaming, like a lot of things that I have never heard about, even like working on the technology. So I spend like a lot of time trying to understand the industries because at least like I can try to anticipate some trends that I can map into my growth path. So that is going to help me to be more prepared like for those trends. Um, Also, LinkedIn, I think is very important, work on personal branding. I know we're going to have like a talk about it. I'm looking forward to that because I think it's very important, making sure that you can optimize your LinkedIn profile to showcase like your professional journey in a great way. making sure that you are connecting with professionals from these industries that can help you in case of things can change so you can adapt better. So yeah, I think that's it, like it's very hard for you to anticipate everything, but I guess like if you are understanding about the market, like understand about the industry, making sure that you are connected with people, that you are like online on LinkedIn as well, and like having this kind of insights, they can help you at least like to work on that. And one thing that is key for me as well, Hannah, it's adaptability. I know sometimes when you're doing like the mapping of the growth or career growth, we tend to do some things like very, okay, that's where I want to go, and this is going to happen. So it's life, doesn't work that way. So making sure that you are open to the change that can happen during your time, during your journey, and also like adapting yourself into those changes that will come for sure.
Yeah. And I have another strategy that I use too, Daisy, because we have lots of uh, trustable websites that can have us put us with information about this change in market. For
Mhm.
example, just a few days ago, I discovered that the World Economic Forum, they
Yeah, I know.
they launch lots of reports about what's going to happen with technology, about what's going to happen to many areas, and these kind of reports can give us excellent insights of things that we can map to our careers.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a good one.
But yeah, it's an excellent one. We map, but we issue some strategies to help us with this mapping. So, what strategies did you find here at Avenue Code to support our employees in mapping and advancing along their career paths here in the company?
Okay. This one is not very hard. So I think like we have a lot of resources, of course. So I think the very first one is the career plan. Avenue Code has like a UI career plan. UI, not Mineiro Y, like the Y. UI career plan. And I know it sounds basic, but trust me, there's a lot of companies that don't have one like a career plan. So making sure that you not just know and hear about it, but you understand what is the career plan is. You know, try to be interested about it. Like ask your manager, like make sure that you understand what is the already mapped by the company that you are, which are the opportunities that you have, and trying to matching that with your own career mapping. I think it's a good point. I think like he also mapping the gaps that you can see on the company, because we know a lot of opportunities they just become if you create them. Sometimes they're not mapped. So if you see a gap at the company on your area, I have examples like in my team. Like recently, we just create a new area of like a program management inside talent acquisition. So this is something that we, seeing that we might be opportunity. There was someone on the team that was looking to work in something like that, and the person came with the idea, and that's it. Like we have a new area. So sometimes it's important also for you to try to be, innovating and try to see those gaps that maybe as a company we haven't identified yet, because we are on the daily basis. So sometimes we have even more knowledge and more experience to try to give like those kind of suggestions. Also, Hannah, I have to say that career advisor, it's one thing like very powerful. And actually, you probably know, but when I joined Avenue Code, we didn't have like a career advisor area. And this was something that was created by someone, like someone that comes and say, okay, I see this opportunity. So and now we have that like for years, that empowers us a lot, because we have someone to talk, we have someone to help on this kind of mapping that can actually guide us through the process. So it's not just because you're talking, but I really think this is, a brilliant opportunity that we have here inside. And be very honest, I use it a lot, a lot, a lot. especially at the beginning, like when I the area like started, and I was like with I just become a lead, so it was my first experience with management. So this was definitely like a key point for me to keep moving and try to achieve my goals. Connecting, it's always an advantage, I guess. And here at Avenue Code, we have this opportunity. We know each other, like, you know that you can ask for help because people are going to help you. It's not something that we find in all places. And definitely this is also relate to your culture. So take this as an advantage and make sure that you are connecting with people that can help you to boost like your opportunities. There's thousands of things like buddy programs, like the HR programs as well, the like lunch and learning. Like there's so many powerful like programs. um, but also I think it's important that we don't be locked just on this. Take this as a boost for you to move forward, but also taking the risk, like innovating by yourselves and making sure that you are mapping things that it might not be like you already discovered, but you can be someone that is going to bring that as a necessity, as something that can bring back to the company as well. So I would say that was what I did like during my 5 years here, and what I would advise as well, like for people to do.